from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, March 7th. Okay, so we have the moon in Gemini energy going void, of course, at 9:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be sitting in a void until 11:30 a.m. again Eastern Standard Time, at which time the moon is going to be shifting into her rulership into Cancer energy. So, of course, the transition from Gemini energy to Cancer energy is always felt because we're moving out of the head space, the intellect, into the heart space, into the feels. And for many people, the moon being in her rulership in Cancer energy is a very tough transit. Specifically because, of course, it brings up all the feels. We have an overwhelming attachment to the old. There is this defense mechanism that gets triggered within us. We want to continue to focus on evolving, on growing, on doing what we need to do to make the change, but there is a whole hell of a lot more resistance. Now, that being said, we are in Pisces season. We're already in the depths of the emotional ocean, if you will. There's already a lot of water energy. So the moon moving into Cancer energy, even by itself, is a lot of feels for us to be processing. On top of all the other placements in Pisces energy at this particular juncture, we just have to go with the flow, and it's going to be a tough transit for the next couple of days as we move through this moon in Cancer energy because there's a lot to process. There is an emotional foundation and structure within us that is rapidly changing. And because of that, when we are in the midst of change, we typically speaking want to hold on to what is tried, tested, and true, what is comfortable, what is familiar, but we all know that there's no growth in that comfort zone. So this is probably going to be a very difficult emotional time for many people. This is another moon day. There are 7 different aspects popping off here today. All 7 involve the moon, making it a moon day, making it a day of emotional refinement and realignment. This is our 2nd moon day in a row, 3rd this week. If you haven't listened to this week's Ascension forecast, I'm definitely going to recommend you do that. We got a lot going on. And of course, here yesterday, we just hit this first quarter moon lunar phase that created this tension, this action point, this decision point, this impulse point, if you will. And now that we're moving out of that first quarter moon intensity, we have to kind of settle. And the settling needs to be done in our inner realm with our emotions, with our intuition. We have to do the best that we can in order to create a stronger emotional foundation and structure within us before we see a lot of the changes that we're hoping for take place in the physical realm. So there's a lot going on. That being said, we jump into the day with the moon still in this Gemini energy. So again, light and fluffy to kind of start the day. We're all up in the headspace. We're rapidly processing thoughts, ideas, perspectives. The moon is going to be making a beautiful interaction with Uranus, the Great Awakener, in Taurus energy. So because Uranus is bringing this lightning bolt of energy, this aha moment, this epiphany, this light bulb moment, if you will, there's going to be a shift in our perspective, in our mood, in our attitude, in our overall understanding of what we need to let go of, what we have to release, what we have to bring an ending and a closure to, because of course, Uranus in that Taurus energy, we've been struggling. This is where the resistance to making the changes that we have to make is definitely being focused because again, Uranus, he's trying to wake us up and shake us up to move on and move forward. That Taurus energy being a fixed earth sign, again, doubling down on holding on to the people, places, and things of the past that we're no longer in resonance with. Even though we're praying for change, there's still, again, this death grip on the old. And so emotionally speaking, we're going to be destabilized. We need to be shaken, rattled, and stirred, so to speak, in order for us to realize where it is that we're holding on to dead weight, where it is that some of the ideas, the perspectives, the epiphanies, the light bulb moments, they make a whole hell of a lot of sense. They're very, tempting, if you will, to want to start building towards. But again, we have all of these old aspects blocking the path, blocking the way. So this particular interaction definitely going to supercharge our central nervous systems with that jolt of energy coming in from Mr. Uranus. Again, please follow the Ascension forecast for this week. Or if you want to jump over to my Patreon, we do the daily Ascension symptoms over there now, something new that I brought to the community. And of course, remedies on what to do about some of these Ascension symptoms that, again, get a little bit intense. The moon in Gemini energy, then going to make a beautiful interaction with Pluto, the great transformer, who is in Aquarius energy. So this is air on air action. There's going to be a lot of stimulation, a lot of rapid processing, a lot of ideas. There's going to be a major change, though, in our headspace and in our heart space. This is like a boss up energy. This is an empowerment energy, especially feeding off of the earlier interaction with Uranus. We are more apt to boss up and do the hard things that we've been resisting and doing with this particular energy. And although a lot of this energy is building confidence and building self-worth and building self-esteem and building the reassurances within ourselves that we can do whatever needs to be done, there is this glimmer, this clarity coming in now on where it is that we would like to go from here. So that Aquarius energy that Pluto is in, again, very futuristically focused. The Gemini energy, of course, kind of grounds us in this present moment. We're weighing the pros and cons of how we plan to make the moves and, do all of the things to break away from the old and start building towards the new. There's likely going to be some aha moments, some hidden information and details that start popping off, making some sense to us now, that's going to help us realize the logical, practical steps, systems, methods that we have to take to close the door on the old and open up the door to the new. Then things are going to get a little bit bumpy. The moon in this Gemini energy is going to get in the boxing ring, square off with first the North Node, then Neptune, both in Pisces energy. So again, we have mutable energies. Gemini is a mutable air sign. Pisces is a mutable water sign. Air sign, of course, is all about thoughts and ideas and perspectives and aha moments and the logical, practical way of going about it. The Pisces energy, water sign, of course, we're talking about emotions and intuition and dreams and creative solutions. And so the moon getting into the boxing ring is going to highlight, first of all, where we're going through some growing pains with that North Node in Pisces, of course, trying to get us on the right path in alignment with our mission, with our purpose, with our new set of goals. But at this particular juncture, we're all up in the headspace and we're having a hard time figuring out how we're going to get from point A, this present moment, to point B, our desired outcome. And so again, we're creating a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of nervousness that doesn't need to be there. However, this tension is going to highlight for us the growing pains that we are going through, emotionally and mentally speaking, to get on the right path, to get in alignment with what needs to be done. There's a little bit of resistance there as well. And of course, getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Neptune in his rulership in this Pisces energy, definitely going to blur the lines, going to create a lot more confusion, overwhelm us, not only in our headspace, but in our emotions as well. It's creating a little bit of a fog, if you will, a confusion fog, where a lot of the things that we may have been sure of or certain of or, feeling pretty good about, that starts to fall apart. That starts to get a little bit shaky. We start kind of speaking fears, doubts, and insecurities into some of the things that we were feeling pretty positive about. And of course, at 9:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the moon is going to go void. And so things get shaky, unstable, and uncertain when the moon is in void. We're already kind of building up to that tension, that conflict with those squares. And so again, we sit in that void for a couple of hours, and then we shift into that Cancer energy at 11:30 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. Here's the kicker. We sit in that, and again, moon in her rulership and Cancer energy, all the feels, okay? It's going to feel like we're being swallowed up by the emotional ocean, if you will. We sit in that energy till 4:45 p.m. So, the last aspect that we got going on is at 9:58 a.m. That's the moon in Gemini squaring off with Neptune in Pisces. Then the moon goes void, of course. Then we shift into that Cancer energy at 11:30 a.m. And then we just sit there until 4:45 p.m. So the moon in Cancer at that time is going to make a very positive interaction, thank goodness for that, with Chiron, the wounded healer in Aries energy. So this is a beautiful interaction for us to kind of feel a little bit more stable, a little bit more safe and secure in our emotional realm, in our thoughts, in our inner realm, understanding where it is that, again, we're building ourselves up. We're building in our self-confidence, building in our self-esteem. We're recognizing where our strengths are. And so Chiron, of course, is the wounded healer, but he's being aspected in a positive way, which means that we're focused on our strengths. We're focused on the good parts. We're open to growing. We're open to healing. We're doing all of the things in our inner realm to kind of boss ourselves up, feel safe and secure with some of the changes that we know are definitely coming at us. Of course, the moon in Cancer energy then going to kind of take us on a little bit of a dark path, if you will. The moon is going to make a very harsh interaction with Pluto, the great transformer in Aquarius energy. So Pluto, typically speaking, likes to take us on a little bit of a trip down the darker parts of memory lane. He likes to take us on a path in our inner realm. He likes to show us where our fears, doubts, insecurities are alive and well, where our inner dialogue, inner narrative, limiting beliefs are kind of preventing us from seeing the greater, grander picture. And the whole point of this is to illuminate where it is that we have power and control to flip the script at any given point. So, of course, the moon in her rulership in Cancer energy is bringing up all the feels. Pluto, of course, in Aquarius energy wants to remind us of where those dark seeds got planted in our unconscious selves many, many moons ago, and gives us the opportunity to act as the observer, to detach as much as possible from our crazy, chaotic inner emotional realm, to see where it is that, guess what, we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure, for disappointment, for self-sabotage, because again, we're focused on all of the bad parts. The moon in Cancer, again, doubles down on the past, trying to keep things the same, even though we're praying for change. And this is a little bit of a harsh reality check, I would say, because the present moment isn't as great as we are trying to make it out to be, just to kind of, and again, we're in Pisces season, so the level of delulu is very high. There's this element where we try to convince ourselves that the present moment isn't as bad as we perceive it to be. And we do that to try and convince ourselves that we don't have to do the changes, that we don't have to make the improvements that, again, we're resisting and making. So we're definitely going to be swimming to the depths of our darkness in this particular interaction. And it's going to be followed up by the last interaction of the day, which is the moon in Cancer energy and her rulership getting into the boxing ring, squaring off with Mercury. So Mercury being the ruler of the mental plane in Aries energy, we get this square because Cancer and Aries are cardinal signs. Cardinal energies are the initiators of a new path, of a new direction, because they've been presented with information, with details, with a perspective that proves that staying the course of this present moment is not going to get us any kind of different result other than the ones in which we've already got. So the moon being our heart space and Mercury being our head space, they're not on the same page. A lot of this is because Mercury in Aries energy has already ripped off the rearview mirror. We have no want, need, or desire to look back. We're thinking futuristically, focused here, and we want nothing more than to take action and make moves to make some progress in a new path in a new direction. That is an automatic no, an immediate no. For the moon in Cancer energy, who again is reflecting back, so focused on the past and having this death grip on trying to keep things the same that we don't even want to entertain what could be different, what the possibilities, options, or opportunities could be if we just let go of the past and started focusing in on the future. So again, a square is here to highlight for us where it is that we're going through growing pains. And the growing pains that we're going through is coming to a certain term of acceptance of the endings and closures needed to close the door on the past so that, again, we can free up the space, clear the way, if you will, to start actually taking action, making moves on futuristic elements that have a good probability of aligning us with our futuristic goals, visions, and dreams.